Hey, fifth grade, happy Wednesday. This is Ms. Gibson coming to you with grammar practice for today. So make sure you have Wednesday, April 15th packet in front of you, and of course, your blank sheet of paper and pencil so that you guys can write down your answers on the side as we move through this process together. Okay, so what we're going to do first is look at specific sentences and go over adverbs and verb tense and specific parts of speeches of the verbs together. And then after that, you guys are going to get into another part where you are putting a box directly around the adverb and then figuring out the verb tense. So right now, the first few are all review. Okay? So as you're doing this, I want you to think of all parts of speeches. I want you to think of adverbs, verbs, nouns, adjectives, okay? And then, of course, pronouns. And then make sure you're taking out your notes as you're doing this. So you are going to get into the first one where it says the boy ran swiftly. You're going to get into the second one, the day was very windy. You're going to get into the third one, we flew extremely high. And the fourth, which is connected to we flew extremely high to the sentence above, to this question right here for describing what part of speech is extremely and what is it describing, all before we get into the final part for the next direction. So I'm not going to read those directions yet because you're going to get into the first four pieces only. So go ahead and pause the video and get into these pieces, and then we're going to come back and we're going to discuss them as a class. So go ahead and pause the video and get started. All right, welcome back from doing the first portion on your own. So let's go through this sentence by sentence and then let's work through these together now. All right, so the first one, the boy ran swiftly. The question is asking what part of speech is swiftly in the sentences above and what is it describing? So, first, let's start off. What do you guys think is a part of speech of the word swiftly? Exactly. Swiftly is an adverb. Why is it an adverb? Exactly. So it is an adverb because it's describing the word ran or how the boy ran. So it is adding on to how he ran in this sentence. So I'm going to add that up here for the description for why this is an adverb and what it's providing more context to. So realize we are adding on to the verb ran with the adverb swiftly because it is describing how the boy ran. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The day was very windy. Windy in the sentence above is a noun, B, an adjective, C, a verb, or D, an adverb. What do you guys think? Is an adjective because it describes how the day is. It is not an adverb because very would technically be an adverb for this because very would describe how windy it is. Okay? It is not a verb because it's not something that you do. And it's not a noun because it's not a person, place, or thing. All right? So realize again, this is an adjective. Let's go down to the next one. We flew extremely high. Flew in the sentence above is a noun, B, an adjective, C, a verb, or D, an adverb. What do you guys think? Yes, it is a verb. So a verb is something that you do. Okay? So in the sentence, we have we as like the pronoun. We have a verb, which is something that they're doing, which is flew, and then extremely high is where they went. All right? So, in the sentence below, we are going to use the previous sentence to help us describe what's going on. So in the sentence, we flew extremely high, is asking us what we in the sentence above is. A pronoun, B, preposition, C, pronoun, or D, conjunction. What do you guys think? Yes, exactly. This is a pronoun because we could represent a group of people. It could represent Miss Gibson and I, or things like that. So realize that this is taking apart the words that could potentially be there and then putting a pronoun in the place to represent who the sentence is talking about. So in this line, it is C, which is a pronoun. All right. So the next sentence, again, this is all review for the first pieces. Now, the last piece is asking is what part of speech is extremely and what is it describing? So let's go back up to the sentence. We flew extremely high. What part of speech is this and why? Right. This is an adverb. So this is adding on to how high they flew. So high is what in the sentence? Right? And then adding on to that, extremely as is the adverb that is telling us how high they flew. So realize that that is an adverb, and it also helps out to identify that because it has ly at the end. Again, not all adverbs have ly at the end, but majority of the time when you do see that and it's describing something in the sentence, like a verb, as in how high somebody went, then that is the reason why this is an adverb. All right, so the last piece, you guys are going to get into 1 through 9, and you're going to put a box around the adverb in the sentence. Then draw an arrow to the adjective, verb, or adverb that it is describing. Write the verb tense on the line after the sentence to review tenses from last week. So we've been reviewing tenses this week, so you should be talking about past tense, present tense, or future tense. So I'm going to do the first one with you just so you understand what you're supposed to be doing. So in number 1, it says, our hot air balloon ride was very exciting. So I am going to highlight very in green because that is my adverb in the sentence. Now, in order for me to draw the arrow to the adjective, verb, or adverb that it is describing, I am not going to draw the arrow right now because technically it would look very messy if I was trying to do that on this document. So I am going to highlight in another color the adjective, verb, or adverb that it is describing. Okay, so in this case, I am going to highlight exciting in red because that is the adjective, verb, or adverb that it is describing in the sentence. So it's saying right now, like, this hot air balloon was not only exciting, which is what part of speech? The adjective, but it was very exciting. So I'm going to put very in green for my adverb, and I'm going to put exciting in red as my adjective that the adverb is describing. Now, for the verb tense that I'm going to put on the line, I'm going to realize that in the sentence, it brought up the word was. Was is technically what kind of tense? Right. This is past tense. So I'm going to put on the line past, okay? Because I have to identify that verb tense for this line. And was is my verb right now. So you guys are going to do 2 through 9. Yes, if you're writing this out, definitely draw an arrow from the adjective, verb, or adverb to that adverb that you're putting a box around. But of course, when you come back, I'm going to go through them and put green for adverb and red for my adjective, verb, or adverb so that you guys can clearly see what we are talking about and then write the verb tense on the line. So go ahead and pause the video and get into the rest of the 8. All right, welcome back from doing the second part of today's grammar lesson. So I'm going to go through from 2 through 8 for the work that you guys had to do. All right, so number 2, it says, we arrived quite early for our ride. Yes, quite is the adverb. Why? Exactly, because it is telling us how early you're arriving for a ride. Okay, so this is the reason why this is going to be the adverb in green, and then early is describing how early you're arriving. So this is, or have arrived. So this is past tense. Number 3, the balloon's burner roared loudly. Roared is our verb. Loudly is how loud, like adding on to that adverb portion for is adding on to how loud the burner has roared. So this is in past tense. So loudly like basically gives us that notion to know how loud is roaring, which is adding on to the roared portion for this burner. Number 4, soon the huge balloon will fill with air. Of course, this is future tense because it will say will fill, which is our verb tense right here. And then fill is our verb. And then soon is our adverb because it is going into how soon these huge balloons will fill. So it is giving us a time frame for how the balloons will be filled. Number 5, my parents and I were rather nervous. So, of course, nervous is a verb because it's what the parents and I are doing. And then rather adds on to how nervous the parents and I are. So, that is an adverb and is in past tense because of the word were. So, if it was I am, my parents and I are rather nervous, that's present tense. And then my parents and I will be rather nervous will be future tense, of course. Number 6, carefully we climb into the big basket. So climb is our verb, and carefully is how we're climbing. So that is the adverb. So this will be carefully will be our adverb, climb will be our verb that I am putting in red, and then present tense because it is talking about in the present day that we will be climbing. Well, we're climbing basically. Number 7, the captain warmly welcomes us. Again, this is present tense. It didn't say the captain warmly welcomed with the ed, or the captain will warmly welcome us. So this is why this is in present tense. And warmly is the way that the captain has been welcoming us, so it adds on to the verb of the sentence, which is welcome. Number 8, the balloon moved extremely smoothly. So smoothly, of course, is describing how the balloon moved, which is the verb, and extremely is describing how the balloon moved. So it's adding on to that aspect of the verb, which is smoothly, and then gives into us the portion of the past tense of the sentence because it gives us the verb right here, which is move. Okay, so the balloon moved extremely smoothly. So smoothly is describing how the balloon moved, which is that adjective, and then extremely adds on to that. Okay, so make sure you're pausing the video and checking your work. If you are still having problems with identifying verb tense, as this is going into a couple of days of us reviewing this, and then adverbs as well, everything is always review. Make sure that you are taking notes, writing down these types of examples of adverbs, and then, of course, the adjectives, verbs, or adverbs that it is describing, and the verb tense. If you feel like you are having confusion, please reach out to your teacher, okay? Because that's the only way you will get better at this, by reviewing your notes, doing the practice problems that we have here, and making sure that you are getting a conference in. Our access to code for today is, of course, computer, which is what you're working on every day. So if you have a problem spelling that, listen and write this down right now as I spell it for you. It is COMPUTER, computer. Now go ahead and get started on your exit ticket. Have a good day.